Well, former President Jacob Zuma may have more days to spend at home. The Constitutional Court has agreed to hear his application to have his sentence rescinded. His application will be heard by the Apex Court on Monday, the 12th of July. So that's in just over a week. That means the former president reportedly will not go to prison for now, as was initially expected. According to court papers in possession of the SABC, opposing parties on the matter will have until July the 6th to file their cases. Well, Jacob Zuma Foundation spokesperson Mzwanele Manyi says the Zuma family is delighted at the court's decision.
President Zuma and the rest of his family are very elated by this temporal relief. This signals the adherence to rule of law. This signals the kind of justice system that a lot of people have lost their lives for. When somebody is saying, please hear me out, please give me an opportunity to state my case, and then we have a court that says, okay, we're willing to listen to you. That's the kind of justice system that people died for in this country. We really want to applaud the court for its attitude on this matter. This is a very most welcome attitude. It's the attitude that builds. It's the attitude that is justice-based. And again, it also puts to bed all those prophets of doom, all those Twitter lawyers that have been saying that this kind of an application is a waste of time. I think that court has shown that indeed what the legal team of President Zuma have put forward is something that makes sense, is something that is worth listening to, is something that upholds the rule of law, which is exactly what President Zuma has been looking for. So indeed, we welcome this development.
All right, and we'll look at what this means legally in a little while, but let's start with the situation on the ground. We're joined by our SABC News reporters Samkele and Maseko. Samkele, someone tried to stop you reporting in Nkandla earlier on, but you and the SABC News team have soldiered on. Give us a sense of who is there right now outside the former president's home and the mood on the ground.
Essentially, Francis, tensions have been running high here in Nkandla, as our colleagues Simphiwe, Makhanya and Ayanda Mhlongo have been excellently reporting during the course of the week. When the Constitutional Court made that judgment and sentence of 15 months incarceration for the former president, we do know that the suspended Secretary General of the African National Congress, alias Makhanya, is inside the venue and is expected to have a meeting with the former President Jacob Zuma. We're not yet sure what Mr. Makhanya will be saying to the former president. He himself has been very defiant, very critical of the judiciary in the country. It also comes in at a time where legal experts and opinion makers themselves are divided on this issue and the meaning of the Constitutional Court agreeing to hear the application of the rescission of former President Jacob Zuma. Some are saying he will no longer have to report to the Westville Correctional Services facilities tomorrow. I've just seen a tweet by one of the leaders of CASAC, that would be Lawson Naidu, saying that there is no interdict at place right now to prevent the former president from reporting to the Constitutional Court. As you can see, the visuals that are live now on air of the suspended Secretary General of the ANC, Mr. Makhanya, arriving to see former President Jacob Zuma in that meeting. We do know that Mtumiseni Ntuli, the Provincial Secretary, Galala, Mhlongo, they are inside. I'm going to bring in my colleagues firstly, and Mhlongo, then Simphiwe, Makhanya. The significance of essentially the Constitutional Court hearing the application of the former president. What does this mean? Does it mean that he no longer has to report to prison tomorrow? We saw him coming out with Amabuto flagged by them, showing a show of force with Amabuto, with Babu Mkilije next to him. Does he still have to report there or not?
Well, interesting question, Simon. As you're saying there, that legal experts, of course, have different opinions in terms of what is going to happen with the former president. But of course, what we can tell you here on the ground in terms of the reaction of the supporters of the former president when they heard the news that the Constitutional Court will be hearing his rescission application, many of them took it as though, well, he is no longer going to go to jail. As I was saying that, of course, legal opinions or what are going to guide us in terms of what is going to happen. But from them, they feel now that their presence here and the pressure that they have been putting on the government, on the ANC, is what has resulted in the Constitutional Court agreeing to hear this application. Whether or not they are right, that remains to be seen. Of course, we can't forget as well, Sam, that on Tuesday, the application that has been filed in the Pietermaritzburg High Court is going to be heard, where the former president had made an application to stay his arrest. Some legal experts say, of course, there should have been an urgent application dealing specifically with the arrest and suggesting that, in fact, the arrest of the former president can go ahead while he sits in jail and awaits the hearing of the Constitutional Court. He's speaking tomorrow to his supporters. We're probably going to get an indication of his thinking, of what he feels the way forward is going to be, and the advice that he has been given from his legal team on how they're going to proceed with this matter.
Simphiwe Makhanya, I'm going to bring you in on a political aspect. The provincial leaders of the province, they are inside, they're engaging with him. A suspended official of the ANC has arrived. There was supposed to be a special PEC meeting today. That has not yet taken place. Where does this place the governing party at this point in time in the province and at a national level?
Samkele, it places the African National Congress at a very difficult position because if you remember that the former president enjoys a lot of support, ground support, especially in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, and having leaders such as the provincial chairperson of the ANC, the Sihle Zikalala, together with the Mdumiseni Ntuli, coming here, to perhaps try and convince the former president to adhere to the, instruction of the court, because there's nothing else that they can say, Samkele, other than to actually try and convince him to, adhere to this, so that there is a situation, there's a point where a situation which may turn ugly is avoided, because a lot of people that we have been speaking to here have been, vehement to say that they are not going to allow anyone to arrest the former president. So it speaks to the issue of the deep divisions within the African National Congress. Just one more point, Sam, when I talk about the issue of divisions, I saw earlier on a tweet by NEC member Derek Hanekom, basically giving an indication that no one, must be allowed to, be above the law. The rule of law has to apply in the country, which speaks to, again, the issue of divisions within that National Executive Committee of the ANC.
I know all of us are not constitutional experts, but the former president is testing the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa to its limits. What is the significance of him in this first ever application of its kind, of a rescission in the Constitutional Court, mean in layman's terms? Does it mean that anyone can then go and seek a review of a Constitutional Court decision, or what does it in essence mean?
It was a landmark ruling, and what is happening now, I would say, Sam, and some experts are saying is unprecedented. And as you're saying, it could be, yes, that the former president is using whatever legal avenue is available to him. Others would know, Sam, in particular, if I go back and speak about his corruption case linked to the arms deal of the 1990s, where the state and many of those that are opposed to the former president saying that at any given point when he's facing legal woes, he applies the Stalingrad tactics, the delaying tactics. And again, there are the individuals who have said those that feel he's not above the law, and those that feel he's only now, as you're saying, testing the judiciary, but also delaying. Is he delaying the inevitable? That's the question now. We'll have to wait and see. Will this work in his favor? He has applied the Stalingrad tactics in his corruption case. The state has stood firm in that matter. It is going ahead. Some might say his tactics have worked only to a limit. Whether or not they will work in this situation, one will just have to wait and see.
Makhanya, I'm going to have you have the last bite and throw forward to tomorrow, to that address to the media by the former president. He's been very defiant, very critical of the judiciary. What can we expect from him tomorrow?
by the end of business today, and I can presume that the meeting that is underway is about to wrap up, we expect the suspended Secretary General of the ANC, that's Ace Magashule, to come and address the supporters of former President Jacob Zuma, as you see them waiting, on that very stage behind us. But in terms of tomorrow, Sam, we are expecting the former president again to address his supporters in terms of the way forward. Now, with these developments from the Constitutional Court, it is going to be interesting to see what is going to be his stance in terms of that arrest warrant.
Thank you very much, Makhanya. As my colleague Ayanda Mhlongo says off the record when we were just chatting, July is dedicated to former President Jacob Zuma. We have been here for the whole week. It's been the Constitutional Court issue. Next week we are in Pietermaritzburg at the Regional High Court for his application for the stay of execution of the police minister, interdicting him from arresting the former president and taking him to a correctional services facility. Then the following week, on the 12th of July, the Constitutional Court will hear his application of a rescission. The following week, on the 19th of July, he's back in the Pietermaritzburg Regional High Court for his fraud, corruption, money laundering and racketeering case involving tallies in that early 1990s arms deal procurement of the South African government. So this month is pretty much a month, as they say, a month of legends, but also a month of former President Jacob Zuma.
Thank you very much, SABC News reporter Samkele Maseko, in conversation with our colleagues Ayanda, Mhlongo and Simphiwe Makhanya.